afternoon, good evening from wherever you're calling in from around the world. Welcome to the Infusionsoft Jam Session. Tonight we're going to get you cleaned up. It's the beginning of the year, and we need to clean up everything. There's a lot of clutter that we've accumulated over the past 12 months, and tonight we're gonna, well, not me, Cheryl. She's gonna show you how to unclutter some of that Infusionsoft clutter. I guess is that a good word? I don't know.
Yeah, they get cluttered up really quickly.
Yeah, and I know you don't like clutter.
So who's all here that we know? Anybody new?
I can't see the chat. So
what about the room?
I see chat group, but I just can't see who is here, and I don't know why.
I see Richard and I see Tom. So guys, go ahead and you can use the chat. We're using Webinar Jam Studio. So this is kind of new to us, and we're still working our way through it. It might look, if it looks a little bit fuzzy to you, it's because of the resolution of your screen. And so if on the replay, it's going to look really crisp. But I think I did everything big enough where I think you'll be fine. But if you really want to look at it in YouTube, because Webinar Jam syncs with, it's a Google Hangout. It's just a little bit of a different interface. So down, if you hover over the bottom, you should be able to find a little YouTube icon. And if you click on that, it'll open up another window, and you wouldn't have the ability to chat. But you can then select the little settings cogwheel and turn it to the visual to HD, and it gets real crisp. But I think we'll be okay. Art, is it looking pretty good on your end?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start, everybody, and I hope this brings a lot of value to you. Like Art said, if you're in your apps working every day, it just gets really, really cluttered quickly, and so what we want to do is just help you kind of unclutter things. And so what we're going to do is go through a 17-point checklist. And it's if you don't want to take notes, that's okay. When we get all done, if you want access to the replay or you want the PowerPoint slides, I will be glad to give them to you. And in some of the slides, I'm not going to go into like great detail, but on the slides themselves, if you want them, it has the link to Infusionsoft articles that'll take you step by step. So we're going to try to keep a high level, but these are things that if you do them just once a year, just either like a spring cleaning or your January, just starting out good, it's really you're gonna get to know your app again, because we end up getting a lot of stuff. So let's just go ahead and start, and I will keep an eye on any questions that come through, and hopefully we won't miss anything. Okay, so the first one, if you remember, at the bottom of all of your emails, it's called the email address block. You have to have it there. You can't just delete it. It's got to be there. It's a CAM/SPAN compliance, but you can change the address, and you can change your company name if you want. For instance, one scenario is if you have a couple of different brands running through through your app, but they're still all part of your mother company. You could change your company name. I've seen people do it, something like, say, Baron Group, because we have a couple of different companies. Baron Marketing Solutions is one, Baron Properties is another, and we use our Infusionsoft app for all of them. And so if if your address kind of bothers you, you can change it. If you work from home and you don't have a physical address, you can use a UPS box, and you don't have to put a phone number if you don't want to. If you don't want people calling all the time. So that's one thing that you'll want to check. Now it's in the settings, okay, and I don't think it's in the notes in the slides, but The email, it's in marketing, settings, and then I believe it's in right in the admin part of it at the top. So that's where you'll change that. Okay, the next one are your template categories. Your template categories, it's also in the marketing, in the settings, and then you go to the template defaults. If you have your app open, you could kind of go along with me if you want, and if you don't want to, that's fine too. And so these categories there, you can change them. You can delete them. You can rename them. You can add to them. And it's not just for emails. It's for emails if you use tasks, if you use notes. So you have all these, you can change your categories. And if you find that you're having a lot of them, you can, like I said, if you have different sections or different divisions of your company or different brands, you can put something in front of them so that it kind of categorizes them and groups them together. Here's an example. So right here, that's where you'd want to go. Template settings and then template defaults. I believe the email defaults, that's where the company address, that company block, that address block is going to be. Okay, tags and tag categories. This is huge, and there is no way. In 2 months, I'm actually going to do a whole, our whole webinar on coming up with a good tagging and tag category naming convention. We get asked this so often, and I've seen all kinds of things out there. Some are so complex, I don't even understand them, and it's just too much. So we're trying to come up with systems and procedures for our team. So I'm just going to share with you what we put together, that's going to work for us. But in any case, this is something you really need to just kind of keep a handle on. And just once a year, it's good to just go through them. You can have as many tags as you want. The problem is, if you have too many tags, it does start to slow down your app. And again, we're going to go into this in 2 months. I think it'll help you a lot. But if you know you're not using them, just get rid of them. Like Art said, sometimes I throw away things and I wish I hadn't, but I just don't like clutter. Didn't you just clean out the basement, Art?
Yeah, I did. Well, it was just, yeah, whatever. I was about a month or so ago, but yeah, it had to get cleaned out.
But you don't like getting rid of stuff, do you?
I do now.
Makes way for more stuff.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
Okay, and then categories. Obviously, that's another thing. And so we're not gonna belabor this because this really does deserve some time all on its own. So we're going to help you with that in a couple of months. Okay, the next one, duplicate address duplicate contacts. This happens so often. Sometimes people will opt in and they'll use one email address. They'll opt in again, and either intentionally or not intentionally, usually it's just, they have different email addresses. They'll opt in with another one. Sometimes someone will be a customer, right? And they use a business email address. And then oftentimes they want to opt into a list and get your valuable things, but they use because they want it to come in a different email box. So they use a different one. So, you just have to kind of watch this. But the way that you would, if they've opted in and it's the same email address, and that does happen too, sometimes in the e-commerce when you're using the shopping cart, sometimes it will create a duplicate contact record. And if the email addresses are the same, that's just a mess. But duplicates, you're going to be sending the same email to the same person, but they're going to get it a couple times. So it's good to clean it up. And there you go to admin, data cleanup, and then right on the top, you would check duplicate contact records, and it'll walk you through. It is a little bit of a process, and you'll be able to clean it up that way. and it's a little bit easier than doing it one by one. So that's another thing, and that's usually a big one. Okay, unnecessary test contacts. Okay, a lot of times if you're, you're testing a campaign, which you should, you create a test contact. Or if you're, say you're working through an order form and you just want to test it, um, it's good to have. You want to have them. You just don't want to have too many. So again, and the way to find them, you should have some sort of a naming convention. For instance, in mine, my first name is Cheryl, my last name is Tester. And that way, if I'm always doing something like that, I can search for either a first name or a last name as Tester. And that's how I usually find if if I end up if I create too many of them. So test contacts is another good one. Okay, custom fields. This one you have to watch. Now you do get 100, and most people that is plenty. But if you do a lot of, you have a lot of web forms, sometimes you can start using a whole lot, and before you know it, it looks, you're kind of running out, and then you're forced to audit them. But whether you're forced to or not, again, this is just one thing where once a year, if you're not using some forms anymore and you don't need those custom fields, just delete them, get rid of them. Again, be careful, because if a form is still out there and it's still live and it's published, then it's going to be an issue. So again, you just have to self-edit and see what it is that that you need and what you don't need. If you're starting to reach your limit and you only get 100, and we've asked to change that, but it's not been changed as of yet, what you can do, all right, is on some of your forms, if possible, use radio buttons and check boxes. And when you use them, if someone clicks on one of the radio buttons or selects a checkbox, you can apply a tag. And it's searchable, just like a custom field. It works. You can use them when you're, in your campaigns and you're doing some segmentation with decision nodes. So, that's another way to kind of extend your custom fields. Okay, save searches. They're easy to make, and again, they just kind of grow and grow, and you end up forgetting that you have so many. So if you've created one and it's just for something temporary and you don't need it any longer, try and delete it then. And if not, if you don't remember then when you do your once or twice a year, just clean up, then look at your saved searches, and if you don't need them, then you can delete them. So I'm going to show you a little screenshot, but to delete them, you just go to the search, and then there's an options drop down. So this is when you go to your saved searches, you would basically click on one of these. And again, I do have an article link in the notes, but you click on one of these saved searches, and once you click on it, then, and I should have put a screenshot in here, but at the top to the very right, you'll see the word options. If you click on that, then one of the options on the drop down is to delete, and you can just get rid of it. So that's another good thing to kind of just clean out, because they grow and grow. Now, this is not ours. This is one of our clients, and we're trying to help them kind of narrow this down, because it's not all of those things are needed anymore. Okay, your branding center. We're in the midst of changing up our logo, our whole look and feel, our brand. So as soon as we're done, I'm going to need to go into the branding center and change out things. And the reason why you want to do this is it's just going to save you so much time. You can create a basic look, something that is just a starting point for the look of your web forms, all of your email templates, and they divide them up. Okay, there's plain, you can use just the plain email. There's one for just the email library templates, and then there's another one for the campaign builder. Usually the campaign builder and the library, they're usually the same. So that they're going to be very, very similar. but a lot of times you're plain one. You don't want to have to, every time you send out an email and you want it to appear as if it's just being written, from your computer. You don't want to have to go in and then delete everything and change it all and left justify it and take off all the branding. So if you create them in your branding center, it's going to save you enormous amounts of time. Even order form thank you pages, if you use the e-commerce and order forms a lot, which as we do, it's a real, it just takes a lot of time to keep doing your thank you pages over and over and over, where if you have something standard, it's not a big deal to change out the text, but you don't have to change out all the branding. So that I think, that's going to help you. And this is, just a sample of what it looks like. These are the emails. But as you scroll down, you're going to see all the other options too. Okay, dashboard. Dashboard is great. I hope you're using it. We could do a whole training just on the dashboard widgets. Another word of caution, those are, those little dashboard widgets, they're basically made up of saved searches and saved reports. So if you can just imagine, every time they have to load, every time you go to that dashboard, it has to go through and load, and it's searching and it's doing all this work. So only keep the ones that you really, really need. So if you were doing a launch and it's over, then you don't need all that stuff. Just remove it. Just delete it from your dashboard. You're not deleting the data. You can save the search. You can save the report. You just don't need to put it on your dashboard. But this is your dashboard is kind of like your company central. It's where all your most important stuff is. And if you've noticed lately, and I think this is a great thing, what Infusionsoft has done is they've sort of blurred them out, which means they're not actively loading every single time you log in. So if you want it to load, you just click on it and it will load. But it's basically to save your app from working so hard. So it is a really, really good thing. And this is just an example of a widget. If you're using opportunities and pipeline stages, then you can have a widget just for that, so that you can click on your hot leads, or if you have a sales team, and you can even pull in the opportunities for your different sales reps, and they just go into their dashboard and they click on their own, and they're on their way. Okay, company files. Oh my gosh, I just looked in ours just today when I was doing this. Oh, we have page after page after page that really, I got to clean those out. Again, you've got to be careful, because it's hard to remember if you're using them or not. So, if you're, as far like branding, if you've changed out your branding, then there's certain ones that you're not going to use. But it's just one of those things that just really gets cluttered up. And so when you're doing that, it's just, you can see the icon, you just go under the tools and then down to the files. Once you click on files, then you would click on my files, which not many people use this. If there are certain files that only you want access to as a logged in user, then that's what you would use. Okay, it's kind of neat. I totally forget that it's there. Company files and company images are separate. And Infusionsoft just started doing this, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but when you used to upload a file or an image, if you had spaces in the name on your desktop, and then you upload the file, Infusionsoft will close up any spaces. It's probably better that way. It's a more stable link. So just notice that it may not look the way you want it to. In that case, you can rename it. Just click on rename, and you could put dashes, or I believe at that point you can put back spaces, if I'm not mistaken. You'd have to try it. But that's another thing to clean up. Okay, your products. So now we're kind of heading into the e-commerce. Now, this is important. If you have products that you are no longer selling, but you have sold and you want to keep all the records, how many people ordered and what they ordered and so on, don't delete them. And that kind of goes against my grain because I want to get rid of clutter. But if you delete them, then all of your reports, any data related to those, the income, everything, it's gone. So your reporting is not going to be correct, because what will happen is the orders, it just deletes them from the orders, and so it just skews everything. So be careful with that. So what you want to do instead is just mark it as inactive. That way it cannot be brought into the shopping cart and it can't be sold. So, that makes it a little bit easier. And what you could do is you could rename it, and put them either down at the bottom. You could put, like a Z in front of it or something, and put it down in the bottom of the list. And that way at least it's out of sight. So that might help. Okay, along with products, we're still in the e-commerce. Order forms, okay? There's no reason, if you're not using them anymore, there really isn't any reason to use your order forms. It's not like when you delete an order form, you're not deleting the product, so that's not a problem. So if you're not using them and you're not going to use them, just get rid of them. It's an order form is just a quick way to put up a sales page. And we can go over this sometime, but if on your order forms, once you're in them, you're probably familiar, there are sections, and they're called the HTML sections. A lot of people use the portion underneath the product name to put information about the product. Okay, we put a lot of our terms and conditions there. And so it's a nice way, it's kind of nice real estate. It's a quick way to put up a sales page. And they're not hard to put together. And so if you're using them for something temporary, like a launch that you're never gonna, you don't think you're gonna do it again, or the next time around it's gonna be quite different, then you can get rid of them. Another neat little trick is if you're doing a time sensitive and like a date sensitive offer, and it's the same for everybody, then what you can do is when it's over, just in case they ever click on it again, rather than just delete the whole thing, just take out the product from inside the order form so that it won't show. And then you can just add, sorry, cart closed, add that message in the HTML section. Or you can keep the product in there, but change the name of the description, or just add the description in there, and you can say, sorry, cart closed. It's not going to be as visible. But that's an option, rather than risk someone getting a hold of the link and then purchasing it if you don't want them to anyway. Okay, merchant accounts. Most of us only have one merchant account, but if you have switched, or for some reason you're not using one of them, get rid of it. And then check your settings as well and make sure you've selected the current merchant account, the merchant gateway. All right, because you don't want to accidentally process something through a merchant account that doesn't work anymore. They're not going to, it's the purchase actions aren't going to run, and then you're going to get customer service related unhappy people. Okay, so now we're going into the affiliate, okay, the referral section. If you're using the referral partner module of the application, check your links, okay, your referral links. Are they going to pages that are even in existence? Maybe you've changed some things on your website. Maybe you've redone your website. Maybe now you're using different landing pages. So check out your referral links. If you're not using them, get rid of them or change them. And then look at your commission programs. Maybe those have changed. and just kind of clean up those. Usually this doesn't take too long. But it's just another thing to put on your list and then just get it done. Campaigns, we're almost done. Okay. Any campaigns that you're not using, a lot of times, I'll give you some scenarios. A lot of times you're just kind of doing something as a quick little test, and then you kind of step away, you forget totally about it, and you've never published it, and it's just, again, it's just cluttering up everything. Get rid of those if you're not going to use it. Campaigns are cheap. You just click on the Create Campaign button and you can do a new one. So, that's an easy thing. If you've never published something, that's the best place to start. If you're going to totally get rid of something that had data in it, you might just want to, you can't really pause it, but what you can do is go into each element and then, just change it to, rather than publish, just change it to what's the word? Not test. Can't think of the word, but it'll turn it gray. Draft. Okay, you put it back in draft mode. So, if you think you're ever going to use it again, or you don't want to lose the data, then best not to delete it. And it's real easy. You just go into the when you're in your list of campaigns, you make sure, this is what I always do, when you're deleting anything, first of all, when you go there, and so many people don't like this, but everything will be checked. So you have to be so careful that you don't just hit unpublish and delete under the actions. First, I always uncheck everything. So you click on the little check mark at the top above all of them, the whole row, and then deselect everything so that nothing is selected. Then go down and carefully only select the one or ones that you want to delete. And then they'll give you one last warning. They will say you're ready to delete 2 or 6. And if that's correct, then go ahead and unpublish it and delete it. Because once you delete it, it's very difficult to get them back. You can call support, but sometimes it's not so easy. Renaming, okay? If you decide that deleting isn't the best one, you can just go inside and rename it and put something at the beginning, or a little asterisk, or anything, any internal system that you want to make up that helps you out with knowing that it's just a test, or that it's inactive, or something you can put in capital letters, inactive, at the beginning of it. A lot of times I have a couple in there that I use for all kinds of little things that I'm testing, and there is like no rhyme or reason, but it means something to me. So I just put test in there, and I kind of list what is in that campaign that I want to keep. It's just that it's not an active campaign. And that's what it looks like inside. So now you're inside a campaign if you're going to rename it. And under the drop down next to campaign, that's where you can rename it. It would kind of be nice if you could just delete right from here, and maybe at some point they'll do that, but it's not there, but you can rename it. And that's the checklist. So, Art, are there any questions?
No, I don't see any, Cheryl. I think this was pretty cut and dry as far as what needed to be done now.
Good. Well, that's good. If anybody wants the replay or wants the PowerPoints, go ahead and email me, and there's my address, and I will gladly send it, either one or the other. Just let me know if you want the whole replay or if you just want the PowerPoint, and it'll have all the, just any articles that I'm, I can refer you to if you need more, step-by-step things, and that might, that would help as well. But those are, out of all the times that we've, kind of helped people do this and cleaned up other people's things, these are the things that we just kind of kept a running list, and these are the things that you just need to need to clean out every so often. Does anybody have a question about anything else?
I don't see any questions,
I
Cheryl.
don't either. Wow.
Damn, we're good.
either that or we're really boring. There's Rosie.
Yeah, she just ate her dinner and she wants me to throw the ball. Oh well, oops.
That's funny. Oh golly. Well, next month we're going to have a treat. Okay, we're going to have we're going to bring somebody on, and they're going to show you some pretty cool things that you can do, with Infusionsoft, some out of the box type of things. So make sure you look for your reminders. The next one next month, February, I think it's February 4th is our next one. And then after that, that's when I'm going to do the one on just coming up with a system to get those tags and your tag categories under control. If you talk to one person, they're going to tell you one thing. If you talk to another person, they're going to tell you something else. I mean, honestly, it's 4 years and I have not until now found a system that I think will really work. So if it will help you, then we'll be glad to share that. All right. Well, if there aren't any questions, we don't want to hold you guys up.
Tom has a question.
Okay.
What is excessive on tag count?
That's a really good question, Tom. I'm thinking if you have more than 500 tags, to me that seems really excessive. And I'm going to tell you a couple of different, I'll tell you one category of tag and show you what I mean. Okay, one category of tagging is the status tag. So status means where somebody is in a process. For instance, when somebody opts in and they request your ebook, okay, you probably are applying a tag that they submitted a form or they requested this ebook. So the next step is you want them to download it. So you give them the link on how to download it. If they download it and you want to keep a record of that, you probably are applying a tag they downloaded, okay, that particular ebook. All right, that's great, but now you have 2 tags. So if you figure, these tags just keep, and these are tags all over your entire application. So it's not your list of tags, but the list has also doubled. So if you're doing a lot of lead gen, it's more than you need. So the whole idea is when you apply the fact that they downloaded, when you apply the downloaded tag, then remove the one when they requested it, right? Because if they download it, it's obvious that they requested it. So those are the kind of things where you just kind of remove them. Another example, there are some companies that instead of using opportunities to move people through stages, their prospects through stages, they will use tags, and they use those tags as goal triggers. And so in that case, if you're moving from, say, the new prospect stage to the call stage, then you want to remove one tag and apply the next one when they get to that point. So you would apply it manually, or you actually could do it by automation, which you can't do with regular opportunity stages. But that's what I mean by status. A status is where a contact is at any point in a process. So you apply one, you remove the other. And you have to think it through. If you're removing one, is that a good thing or is it not? Here, I'll give you another example. When someone comes into our funnel, they're coming in from a lot of different ways, and we want to put them into our main nurture, okay, our main nurture campaign. So what I do is that campaign or that set of sequences is triggered by a tag, I actually don't want to remove that initial trigger tag once they're in there, because I don't want them coming in again, not until they finish the whole thing, right? Because that particular campaign is made up of several sequences. It's like it's 2 years worth of emails, of weekly emails. So if they're on number 23 and that tag is removed and they opt in for something, or I mean, I have a whole list of the ways that people are coming into that. If I remove that, it's going to get triggered again. And so now they might be getting email number 4. And at the same time, they're getting 25, and they've gotten 4 already. So now they're getting it again. So you have to kind of think it through logically too, if you're going to remove them. Hope that answers that.
Yeah, he says, oh, good, thanks.
Good. Yeah, tagging is probably, that's like the nemesis of everybody. It's, we want them, we need to use them. They're a great tool. It's just, when is enough enough? I mean, and think through why are you adding tag? If there isn't a purpose for the tag, then don't apply it. Okay, you apply tags, like I said, for status, and this is what we're going to go over in 2 weeks, because those are the categories. But it could be a status, where they are. It could be having to do with their profile. So another instance, okay, if they come in and they've requested something and it's cold traffic. Now, you don't know that at the time, but you can check for it. Okay, you obviously maybe want to apply a tag that they're a prospect. Once they purchase something, the purchase action should literally remove, right, the prospect tag. They're no longer a prospect. They'll never be a prospect again. Now they're a customer. So, that's kind of what you want to think through. So their profile has changed, things like that. But now if they've purchased something, you probably don't ever want to take those away, because you want a record, you want a history of what they've purchased, so that if you want to send a broadcast to a group of people who have purchased something, they've all done something, common, then you can find it easily.
All righty. Well, I think this has been a very successful broadcast. And Cheryl, again, what can I say? You just did a phenomenal job, as usual.
Well, we're glad that you guys come. So we'll see you. Hopefully, we'll see you next month. And if you have any questions ahead of time, before you're here, that you want us to address, just shoot either Art or me an email, okay? And we'll be ready. And we can always do live demos as well. I just like to have something ready, so that if there aren't questions, that we're kind of just not all sitting here kind of twiddling our thumbs and not bringing you anything. So if there's anything that you want to address, just send us an email, and we'll take care of it next month for you. All right. Great.
All right.
Has a good night.
Yep. Listen, thanks guys for showing up. We appreciate it, and we hope you got a lot of value out of what we had to offer, or Cheryl had to offer tonight. And we are looking forward to seeing you on the next webinar jam situation. Listen to me, webinar session next month. I can't even say it. Anyway, hey, thanks everybody. We'll see you next month. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.